Okay, you guys, I am excited to go ahead and start our coaching chat Zoom. Many of us have been part of a coaching chat via Voxer, but I thought for the next 6 weeks, what we'll do is all those coaching chats kind of come together, and let's really do a 6-week focus, a 6-week push toward really building and growing our business as we go into conference. And so if you've been looking at any of the documentation that has gone out, what we're going to do is focus. I'm hearing myself kickback. Let me mute some people first. If you haven't, go ahead and stops it. All right. I think that worked. Okay, good. Okay, so we are going to focus on, as I said, the ACTS, which is accountability, tracking, coaching, and support. And so we're going to kind of go over what these calls are going to be. They're going to be only the next 6 weeks. We'll reevaluate at 6 weeks and see if we want to continue after conference and start this group back up. But what I want from you guys is to say, okay, I am willing to hold myself accountable. I am willing to follow through on the kind of quote unquote, the homework that's going to be put out there and really track my progress. So if I look at this ACTS, which is A for accountability, C for coaching, T for tracking, and S for support. A, we're gonna hold ourselves accountable. So every Monday before we jump on this call, I want you to take a picture of this document and send it to your upline NMD. And I want you to take a few minutes to answer those questions. This is a way to hold ourselves accountable, to say that we're doing what we say we're going to do. The C in this ACTS is every Monday, I'm going to come in to this call, either myself, one of the other NMDs, or someone is going to talk about a particular coaching topic that you guys have submitted and said, hey, here's what's kind of holding me back when it comes to moving forward in this business. And then the T is tracking. Every week, we're going to track ourselves. If you haven't muted yourself, please do so. We are going to track our activity during the week to make sure we're doing what it takes to really move forward. And you can use this document, or if you already use another document to track your activity, that one's fine too, but submit this to your NMD upline so that you are holding yourself accountable to tracking that activity. And then lastly, support. Every week, as you kind of evaluate yourself and say, here's where I am, here's what's going on, what do I need, what kind of support do I need to help me move forward in this business? Recently, I was listening to Eric Worre do a talk, and he talked about this accountability loop, and it was called feedback loop, in that you plan your week, you do your week, and you evaluate your week. And that's what we're going to do to move forward, to be successful, is we need to plan our week, track our week, and then do our week and evaluate it. And so that's what these documents are for. And so here's what I'm asking you. Give me 6 weeks, and let's really plug in and really hold ourselves accountable, track our activity, and do the homework so that we can see great progress in our business over these next 6 weeks as we go into conference. All right, so let me ask, does that, looking at this document and how I just explained it, does that make sense to everybody? Anybody have any questions? You guys gonna talk to me? Has everybody got it? Okay, let me ask this question. Give me a thumbs up if everybody has it. All right, let me ask this question. Is everybody game for being held accountable these next 6 weeks? Everybody good with that? All right, because I'm going to push you guys, and I just want to let you know up front, if we're going to make progress, then we got to be willing to be pushed a bit and be pushed outside our comfort zone. All right, so next Monday, I want you to track your progress all week and submit this to your NMB upline or your direct upline, whoever it is that that's gonna be the person who really kind of locks arms with you. But make sure you do that. So if you're on this call, you're saying, okay, I'm game for it. Let's go for it. So I've given you fair warning. Okay, so today, the coaching topic we're going to talk about is if you looked on our Voxer chat, so we have a Voxer chat with everyone who said, I want to be a part of these Monday calls. I put in there a 1 hour, it's 1 hour long podcast. If you click on it, I know Karen, you've already done it already. So kudos to you. You get a star on your chart for going ahead and listen to it already. But in Eric Worre, he interviews this husband and wife team. Their names are Tom and Denise. And he talks to this guy. Now, these guys are people who make $1 million a year in network marketing. And so he talks to these people about, okay, tell me what it is your secret. And the guy said, this to me blew me away after making $1 million a year. He said, still today, he will talk to 2 people and then he will do a 3-way call with his upline. Now, this is a guy who is unbelievably successful, but he will talk to people and then he will do 3-way calls with these people with his upline. And so in it, he talks about, Eric Worre asked him this question. He's like, how do you talk to 2 new people every single day? What does that look like? And he said he has gotten good over the years at interviewing people. And his wife was there, and you'll hear when you listen to it, she's like, I don't like that word interviewing. She likes to call it coffee conversations over coffee or coffee conversations. But he said why he calls it an interview is his goal is to get to know somebody. And the only way we can really get to know someone is if we ask them questions. And so I want you guys, I'm going to put this on the gallery view. Does everybody have theirs on speaker view or gallery view? And in the upper right-hand corner, you can switch it from speaker view to gallery view. I want you to see all the people on this call. There are 19 of us. What I want you to do is to pick somebody you know, preferably somebody you don't know. And I want you to, quote unquote, have a coffee conversation with them this week and interview them. Okay? So look, does everybody have their person they're going to interview? Look. All right?
Elaine, I can't see that view from my phone.
Okay.
Hi.
All right. Well, you're going to have to reach out to somebody. Somebody on this call, and you pick them and you reach out to them and interview them and have a conversation. And here's what I want from you guys is for you to have such a conversation in that you've asked them questions and you've gotten to know them to the point that next week, if I call on you and ask you to introduce, and I'm going to use somebody, for example, I'm going to use Brenda. Say I call on Brenda and say, Brenda, will you introduce yourself as if you were Jane Preston? Now, I'm not saying Jane has to be the person you're going to interview, but you know her to the point that
I'm sorry, Brenda.
you know that
person. I would love that. Oh, I'm sorry.
You know that person to the point that you could introduce yourself as that person. Because what that tells me is you've gotten to know them so well that you can just freely speak as if you were them. And that's the level that we need to start connecting with people. You know, most of us on here know and have heard of the hot hands list. That every Sunday night we do a planning call where we list 10 people that we're going to connect with that week. And so when we're connecting with those people, we want to get to the point that we've had such a great conversation with them that we literally could introduce ourselves as them. So if you're feeling a little uncomfortable with that process, then find someone you know and practice on them before you do it. So let's this week really work on having those connections with people beyond just a text message or maybe an email, but really having conversations to move the process forward. Okay? Does that make sense with everyone?
Yeah, it sounds like fun.
Okay. I'll put in our Voxer chat, I'll kind of give you, here are our 2 or 3 homework points that we're going to focus on. But now, here's something, if you guys were on the call, and I'm going to share my screen, and hold on a second. Can everybody see? What you should be seeing is the blue weekly checklist. Everybody seeing that? Okay. Here's what, when you have those conversations, here's what I want you guys to think about this process. And Stacy Whitmere went over this process last night on our planning call, and I thought it was fabulous. One, when you start this conversation, when we talk about having that interview, what you're doing is trying to discover their need. Do they have a need for Juice Plus? No one's going to buy Juice Plus if they don't have a need. Do they have a need for our business? Unless you discover their need, it's going to be hard to sell them or encourage them on anything. Does that make sense? So first and foremost, you want to be asking questions so you can discover the need. And then how can I meet that need? So if I'm talking to, let's say, who am I talking to? Laura Newby. So Laura, you and I don't chat that much. So if I haven't had a good conversation with you, I'm not going to know why Juice Plus is important to you or why the need for Juice Plus would be there. You know, so I've got to get into some good conversation so I can pick up on their need. And then as I'm talking to someone, I'm going to jump to Karen because I know Karen, I've heard your story. So if I'm listening to Karen, what I find out about Karen is Karen has had autoimmune diseases. So what am I going to do? Let's just say Karen is not on Juice Plus yet, but I've had a conversation. I know her well enough to know what needs she may have. I would probably, my next step would be to go to that recordings Facebook page, Google, type in autoimmune diseases. And what I'm going to do is search for a great audio I could share with her or video I could share with her. So what I've then done is found a tool. I'm not going to try to do it all, which is especially good for people who are just getting started in this business. We don't have to know it all. What we have to do is just discover people's need, and then we can supply them. We have an unbelievable amount of tools to pull from. And then then the next step's going to be, okay, what verbiage am I going to say to Karen? Am I going to say, hey, Karen, I think you need Juice Plus? You think Karen's going to be excited about it? No. But if I said, oh my gosh, Karen, after you and I talked the other day, I couldn't get you off my mind. I kept thinking about just the challenges you've had in this whole area of autoimmune diseases. I found an incredible video from whoever it might be, let's say Julie Herbst. I think you're going to love listening to this. Take a listen and let me know your thoughts. So what is my goal with Karen? So my goal is to educate her in this whole realm of the impact that Juice Plus possibly could have on her health. And so what I want to do is work toward that goal. And then when am I going to make this happen? Well, if Karen's name is on my hot hands list, I've taken one more step closer to moving her toward that goal of helping her get started on Juice Plus. Does that make sense? So that's what our goal wants to be. When we've got these 10 people on our list, it's walking them through those 6 steps and helping them get to that goal of where we want them to go. But it has to be in their timing, and they have to feel important. They have to feel encouraged. They have to feel like I care about them. It's not about me making a sale. It's not about me bringing on another distributor. It's about me figuring out what their needs are and what do I have to offer them to help them meet their needs. All right, so we got about 10 minutes left. So let me kind of recap what we're going to do this week. One is, let me go back here to the share. We are going to track our activity, print out this document, which we're going to listen to Voxer. We're going to check our team Facebook page. We're going to create that a list of 10 names of people we're going to connect with this week. We're going to check what customers on our customer alert. And if any of these things don't make sense, feel free to ask me. I'm going to open it up to questions. But what customers do I need to check in with? Anybody, if you have distributors, who do I need to touch base with? Should they be on this call with you every Monday? And then what weekly events do I need to be plugging into and plugging people into? And then personal development. I've already shared with you guys in our Voxer chat an incredible podcast from Eric Worre interviewing this couple that I think is perfect with what we're talking about. So there's our tracker form for the week. Then come next Monday, I want everyone to submit this form to either whoever's going to be your accountability partner, your NMD or your direct upline. And then lastly, kind of our coaching topic is, walking those 10 people through this process here as we connect with them. All right, so I'm going to stop the share. Does this process make sense? And does anybody have any questions? Come on, someone's got some questions.
Elaine?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the recordings Facebook page. Do you mean Team Extreme and then there's a recording tab?
Great question. Thank you, Cynthia. If you go on Facebook and literally type in in the search bar recordings, what's going to come up is there is a Facebook group of all kinds of Juice Plus distributors who every time there's any kind of a recording on a specific disease, it is filed in that Facebook group, and it is unbelievable. I mean, you pretty much any disease or issue that you may come across that someone's dealing with, I guarantee you there's probably a recording in there of someone sharing the impact that Juice Plus has had in specific to that type of illness or disease. So if you can't find it, Cynthia, let someone know, but literally just go to Facebook, type in recordings, and then ask to be part of that Facebook group. All right, anybody else? Good question. All right, does the process make sense where we are, we're using that tracker form to track our activity, and then we're using what we call the ACTS, A-C-T-S, ACTS document every Monday to submit. Because what we're doing, if you got any of those, I know Brenda's a teacher. Do we have any other teachers on here? What we do is kind of back to that feedback loop in that we make a plan, which this is our plan, and we track it, and we do it and track it while we do it. And then when we come back on this call on Monday, that accountability form, basically what we're doing is we're going back over and say, how'd we do? Where can we do better? What did we learn? Where do I need help? And if you look at this document, let me pull it back up. It's a little easier than me showing it. If we look at this document, so this, can everybody see it? Yes. So this is your accountability portion. You know, a lot of times I'll talk to distributors and they'll say, I don't understand why I'm not moving forward. When I ask them, think about how many days you worked last week, how many hours in a day. You know, maybe they worked 1 or 2 hours and yet expect enormous return on 2 hours of investment. It's kind of like work, you know, expecting a 40-hour work week pay and only putting in 2 hours. And so I think what happens is when we hold ourselves accountable, we realize, okay, if my goal is to make X amount of money, or, you know, have certain amount of customers or certain amount of distributors, if that's my goal, am I truly doing what it takes to reach that goal? And that's where asking yourself these questions, you know, how many people did I connect with on my hot hands list? It's one thing to create a hot hands list. It's a whole nother to make sure that we actually had those conversations with those 10 people. And I'm as guilty as anyone else. I start out the week good, but I let other things get in the way of really making those 10 new connections. You know, how many distributors, let me make this bigger. How many distributors did you coach last week? If we want to be distributors that are great leaders, it's going to take us really locking arms with those people on our team and helping them grow as we grow. How many names did you add to your prospect or memory jogger list? Here's a question. How many of you guys actually have a prospect list or a memory jogger list of people that you want to connect with? You know, if you got 100 names on there, then you're good. If you don't, there's another homework list. Get plenty of names. So when we go to get 10 names for a hot hands list, we got to pull them from somewhere. Where are they coming? And we need to keep adding to that memory jogger, that prospect list every single week. And that's kind of where this talking to 2 people a day comes into play. So next Monday, I want you to hold yourself accountable and submit this to either your upline or your NMD upline. You know, make sure you're tracking it. Every day you're tracking your activity. And then you see this section where it says coaching notes. You know, use that to jot down what you took away from each Monday's call. And then lastly, support. When you hand that in, what is it that might hold you back from accomplishing huge growth, explosive growth over the next 6 weeks? So let me stop right now and ask that question. What's holding anyone back from doing kind of this activity that we talked about?
Elaine, I would say it's just like choosing things over. You know, it's just life stuff.
Yeah.
And but it's making the decision to, I think, get it done. That has been the positive thing about Teamsy, is that I know, like, I have to get 100%. So, man, there's been a lot of nights this week where I've just stayed up to like 11:30 or 12 just because I have to get it done. Because a lot of life gets in the way, and I realize that. But my goals are bigger. You know, I can't stick around at SSC anymore. You know.
Yeah.
I apologize, guys, that I was on the call late too. So we were just getting our house. Getting pictures to get put back on the market. But anyway, it's little stuff like that I think I've just got to choose. If I allow those things to get in the way, then I have to make room in my life for I just have to fit it in another area and not just let it go and be like, oh, well, it just didn't get done today.
Well, and I think that's an excellent point, Erin, in that I think having this accountability form to hold ourselves accountable, kind of like you're saying, utilizing Teamsy, if we want to grow and move forward, it does take us holding ourselves accountable. And so that was the purpose of this group, is to say, if I'm looking at you guys and know I have to say, yes, I talked to my 10 people and had great conversations with them, then that's some pressure I'm putting on myself to make sure I'm doing what it takes to move along like I say I want to move along in this business. All right, I am going to, I'm going to stop the recording because I want to keep these at 30 minutes.